There we are. Okay. Welcome to the Moms on Your Feed podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Carissia.
And I'm Whitney.
And we are on your feed throughout the week before we record our podcast and we see what's happening with our fellow moms and those in the community worldwide on social media. And then at the very end, we discuss topics that are relevant to our motherhood journey. So Whitney sent me something on from Mommy Nation and the video about we have all heard how parenthood is a job or motherhood is a job. And this Instagrammer said that motherhood is not a job.
Being a doctor is a hard job.
Yeah. And motherhood, you can't escape it. I don't know. I agree. I think that it never turns off. Motherhood and parenting, it just, well, I'm going to say mothers. We're mothers. Mothers never turn off. It's always there. It's always something else to do. And I totally agree with her sentiment. And I wish there were, you have different resources and things like that, but I do wish that there were just more step by step guides. It's
And
not
then we
possible.
normalized it. Like we normalized that it's hard,
Yeah.
Like it's hard. We could why isn't that normalized?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I
I
don't,
think that's what she's kind of saying. Like we use the word like it's hard, and we make that about motherhood where it's so much more than that. And
mhm.
if we say it's hard, then especially like men can associate what they consider as hard. So it's like, oh well, I do hard stuff all the time. But when
Mhm.
it's like if we take it to a whole nother level and give a word that maybe isn't as used as hard, it could really kind of communicate how tough it can be.
Yeah. I agree.
Mm.
I agree. There was another one that showed a dad. Well, he's a comedian. But basically the child in this clip or in this his Instagram post was talking back, or he had been telling his child, like, don't close the door, leave your door open. But the child continually closed and locked the door, likely a teenager or something. And he was taking the door off the hinges. And the child said, why are you taking the door off the hinges? And, his response was, well, I done told you not to close it and you keep closing it. And so you don't have any privacy. This is my door, is what he said. This is my door. And he was, the child, he said, did you smack your lips? Have you ever had your lips on the door? And so I was like, okay, I feel like that's kind of what I grew up with, like in real life. But I also feel like it's necessary. The children will push you to that limit, you know. I feel like
And
sometimes, huh?
I was gonna say, and with the society going so far into like the gentle parenting, I'm glad that it's some parents that parents that are stepping up and saying, you know what, no, like this is not okay. And I don't know if that would be considered gentle parenting by taking the door off the hinges. Um, but they did. Have you ever seen Freaky Friday? They did that in Freaky Friday where the mom took the door off the hinges.
I don't think I did. No.
Yeah, on Freaky Friday, she took the door off the hinges because she had her husband take the door off of the hinges because she wasn't behaving. But no, I agree. I had a conversation with a client today, and she's a teacher, and she was talking about just how the difference between the kids who are being disciplined. We all need standards. We
Mm,
need this is as far as you can go. You can't go beyond this line. And
mm-hmm.
when they don't have that standard, it just makes things so difficult. So Yeah, take the door off the hinges. And then, like, I even like the whole taking their phone. Why do they need privacy? Like, why do a 10-year-old need privacy or a
Right.
15-year-old? I mean, to a certain extent, like privacy, like while you're using the bathroom, but
Right.
a phone privacy, like, no.
Right. That's very dangerous. And I don't think that I mean the children definitely don't understand the dangers, but that's why it's up to us as parents to set these parameters because it's very dangerous to have that kind of privacy. You never know who they're communicating with. And even if it is on these games, I know Roblox has a chatting feature. And it could be a grown person trying to communicate with your child, posing as another kid, or maybe they making plans and this, that, and the third. I know right now Aubrey is just starting to ride the bus. And even though the drop started taking the bus, they pick up in the complex over here. And one of my fears is just that I see these kids. As a matter of fact, I'm going to tell you, when I was coming home from the doctor, older kids had gotten home from school. They had gotten off the bus, and there was a boy and a girl in front of the leasing office. And before they parted ways, they kissed. And why did they feel so open to do that right there in public? It's because they know their parents aren't there. Nobody's around really watching them or monitoring them. So they felt a measure of freedom to do something because people were not there.
They
So
were older kids.
that, I would say they're either in middle school or they're in high school. One of the two, one or the other. But either way, they could be meeting anybody. Well, because their bodies are still developing, their brains are still developing. Like, you really want to get caught up with somebody right now. I understand the feelings and all that other kind of stuff, but the person or the people who that they can encounter while they're trying to get home from the bus could be anybody. And that's my thing. So while they're chatting it up on Roblox and you don't know who they're talking to, or they have their privacy and you don't know who they're talking to, everything is set in motion where they have the time and the availability to put themselves in harm's way where they don't see harm. So that's
Absolutely.
why I don't think it should be that much freedom. Um,
Absolutely. Especially nowadays, just people are like, it's some monsters out there. Like at the end of the day, it's some monsters who care less about your children. They have whatever
mhm,
need they have within themselves, and that's the only person that they're concerned about is themselves. So we
mhm,
just have to be a lot more cautious and be aware. Like take the phone, take the door off the hinges if you have to. At the end of the day, you will rather do it and it be nothing than you
mhm,
didn't do it and it was something, So like why not just take care of it and be, cautious. And think about when you were a kid, like you lied, you were sneaky, you did
mhm,
all those things. So don't put
mhm.
it past your child is not special. They're
Exactly.
13, they're 14, they're the same, they're having the same concern. And it's even worse now because now we have social media. So
Yeah,
like if you was able to sneak out or skip school, just imagine what they can do.
absolutely.
Yeah.
They
So
have way more access technology
yes. Yeah.
and access, There's so many ways around it. On a lighter note, I did want to talk about what we having for dinner. So, what's for dinner? I'll tell y'all what I made. Um, I made $1 million spaghetti and it was so good. It turned out good. Despite that I didn't shred the cheese myself. I don't think I've ever shredded mozzarella, first of all, but basically, you make spaghetti the regular way. You make your sauce, your meat sauce. I made a vegetarian, I don't know, I guess it would be vegetarian meat sauce because I used the Gardein crumbles instead of ground beef or ground turkey. Seasoned it up and I put my sauce in with it. And then you layer the meat sauce, the spaghetti, and then you mix some ricotta and parmesan and put that as a layer. And then you do it again until you get to the top. And on the very top, you put mozzarella cheese and bake it. And it was very satisfying. I had it with some garlic bread. I wanted to have it with some salad because I have salad in the refrigerator, but I didn't. So that'll be salad is in there for tomorrow. What y'all having for dinner?
It's so funny because I feel like the last time you asked me it was meatballs, and we had meatballs again tonight. So I
Ah,
was laughing at that. Like, we just have way too many meatballs. But I think then I did like Swedish meatballs, and tonight I did barbecue. Like, I did a barbecue sauce, sweet
hmm.
potato, and broccoli.
Okay, that sounds good. That sounds really good. The sweet potato. I don't know
Yeah.
why I thought. Was it yesterday that you had the chicken? Or that was from the party you went to, right? Chicken and
Yeah.
potatoes.
Yeah. Yeah. I went to, yeah, yesterday I had they had like baked chicken, fried chicken, green beans,
Okay.
potatoes, and matcha chole.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's some dinner ideas for all the moms out there. You can always have a go-to. I think some of us always have something every week. The this spaghetti is not an every week thing for me at all. And I
Yours
am
is
gonna
garlic noodles or lemon noodles. Some them noodles you make all the
that
time.
wasn't every week either. I had that garlic pasta. Oh, I know I did have that last week. That's really easy though. That's what I feel like it's really easy. Riley, I love your hair. I love those bows. Are those clips or
Hmm.
is it a ponytail holder?
It's Eclipse.
Okay. Yeah, it's super cute. Um
She needs her hair
okay.
washed.
So there was I can't remember the other one that I wanted to talk about, so we'll just move on
What have I
into
seen interesting on the feed? Let me think. So I was telling you about a lot of the mortgage videos. Like, I'm having trouble paying the mortgage. Like, people, so you have married women who are telling their husbands who pay the mortgage, like, "Hey, I can't pay the mortgage this month," and they're confused. Like, what are you talking about? You can't pay the mortgage this month. You never pay the mortgage, you know? And then you
okay.
have people who go like 50-50 with their spouses who are saying, "I can't pay the mortgage this month." And they're responding. So the whole census is like the difference between the men who pay all the bills, how they're responding to the women not being able to pay the mortgage, and how the men who actually rely on their wives to help pay the mortgage are responding when a woman said they can't pay the mortgage. And actually just recently saw one where a girl did her dad. She was like, "Dad,
Really?
I'm having trouble." Come on, let's lay down for a bit. "I'm having trouble paying the mortgage this month." And her dad kind of responded and said, "No problem," like that. So I
Aw.
think the videos are interesting. I'm seeing even like feedback to it where people are like, a lady was saying how she would never want her spouse to like have to do everything, like paying, because everybody like, "Oh, I want to love to find me like this," or "I want someone like this."
Mhm.
Because people obviously who doesn't want to be taken care of completely. But she was saying that she wouldn't want her husband to have to pay all the bills,
Mhm.
and have that type of burden on him while her money is more free.
Hmm. I saw one I saw a video like that, but the wife was the only working person. So she was and actually in the video it says the wife is the breadwinner. And so she told him that she couldn't pay the mortgage.
I saw that. Were they eating dinner?
I felt like she was standing up and he was sitting down and he
He
was like,
was
"Well,
like really like, "You need to
go
do
get a side
overtime."
job." That's what he said. Yes, that's what
Ah,
he
girl,
said.
I died. I died. I was like, "What?" He
Exactly. That's what
was
I
like, "You ain't pick up more overtime." He was like,
exactly.
"I can't go back to work." And then the comment section was like, "Don't mess up his soft life." It was
What?
hilarious. When he told her like she can't work overtime, I was like, "Now
Right.
come on."
Exactly. You
Oh
don't
my,
have
that
no
one was
overtime.
hilarious.
I was like, what? I wonder if that was fake, if it was scripted, or if it was
It ain't
real.
seem scripted. The way he was like, "Well, what you gonna do more overtime?" That
Exactly.
did not seem scripted. It seemed like that was his real thoughts. He
He
was real
did, but
raw. Like,
I
you better
swear
figure it out. That
no,
was
she's mad about that. I would have been mad too. Like, well, the audacity. You sitting at home,
listen.
oh, husband. Like, what?
But I think a lot of it sometimes, like, I wonder, do men feel that way? Like the exact same way how it looked to us because it's not something that we're used to, where we're more used to the man being a breadwinner. But for a man that felt like, I had a lot of expenses this month and I can't even ask my wife to help because I'm supposed to take care of this. So now I got to work extra overtime. I have to like show up and do more hours.
Mhm.
Like, that's a lot. And I kind of understood what the lady was saying that said it. Like, I really feel like it should just be our money. Like, I think marriages where the money goes together, this is our money and it's not your money, it's not my money, it's our
Mhm.
money. That's the
Mhm.
best because it really should just be ours. It's like when I get paid, that's our money. When you get paid, it's our money. How do we take our money and accomplish a goal? So it's not like, oh, I can't pay the mortgage this month because we pay the mortgage and it comes from
Right.
our money. So it's not
Right.
just on one person. Because I just think that's very hard. That's hard either way if it's the woman or the man doing it. And it's
I agree.
unrealistic.
I agree, especially this day and age. Things, expenses, and everything is going up. And also, I do feel like even if it is set up one way, that doesn't mean it can't change to another setup. All it really takes is a conversation. It may take a couple of
Absolutely.
conversations and some willingness to compromise, on either party, and maybe some readjustment. But because the world around us is changing, then we ourselves have to change in response to what's happening. So that's why I feel like it's just a conversation could be needed, some adjustments. But he took me out. I don't know. I wouldn't. I wouldn't be happy about that. Can I go work overtime?
That was crazy. That was like when he said the overtime thing, I was like, and he was dead serious. Like, I'm not going back
Yeah.
to work. I can't go back. He was like, I can't go back. I can't go back. He was like, oh, that hit him home. He was like, you got to
Right,
figure it out, Susan.
girl. Absolutely. Couldn't be me. I'll be so outdone. I would be so outdone. Like, are you serious? Okay.
I don't think a woman would even have said that.
That I
Like,
can't go back to work.
no, like I wonder, like women who husbands are like the breadwinner, if they would say, like, if the guy said, "I need help," if they would be like, "Well, you need to work overtime." Like they're not even willing to help.
Do I insert personal story?
You're like, it happens. That's
I
crazy.
I feel like sometimes some men do have a certain bit of audacity, when push comes to shove. Um, and push came to shove. What was it? What did I need? Well, I think at some one point I needed DTE. Well, that, and for those who don't know, it's like was that the lights or gas or something? But I had to figure it out. So now I'm figuring it out on my own.
All
So
the bills.
right,
Gotta figure out the what. I'll do it all. Like I would
right,
never ask again. That had me looking crazy. Well, yeah, no,
yeah.
I, yeah, I just think, like I said, I think that it would be different. I don't think a woman would say that. Like, I don't think a woman would be like,
I don't think so. I think a certain
yeah, I
type
think
of
women are more like, oh, well, what do we need to do? I tell my husband this. When we've had times like in the past where money was like super tight, like, and both of us felt it, and we
mhm,
was like, we need to go to the grocery store. We got $20 or we got $40. I love that. Like, I
mm,
love when we like, how much you got, how much I got. Like, God bless you. Like, how can we put this together and make it work? I feel like we are killing it as a team. Like, it's both our struggle. It's both of something that we're kind of trying to get
mhm,
through together. I
Yeah.
like that. I feel like that shows like the grit in the family, the grit in as a team. And
Yeah.
and usually those times come more in the beginning of the relationship. But
Hmm.
it's nice to have them. It's nice to even be able to reminisce. So then when you are helping, it's like, well, he been holding it down for a few years now. I don't mind stepping up. Or she been holding it down. She was there before, so I don't mind stepping up. So I
Hmm.
think that those are the difference, the times that make the difference.
We talked about that later on. Just we may do, we made it. We still alive. Insecurities of parenting or feeling, I guess, like you're not ready. I definitely felt like that when after I had Aubrey. I was just like, and I said this before. I stayed in the hospital as long as I could because I was just like, okay, here we go. Am I going to be able to? I didn't have so much of these thoughts, as many of those thoughts then as I do now, as she's transitioning into adolescence, um, changing her thought, how she thinks and how she sees herself, and all these different things. Does make me pause and wonder, you know, do I know enough to help her pass this point to adulthood? And really, the fact of the matter is, whether I know enough or not, I can't stop her from growing. I can't stop that. Only thing I can do is equip myself with more resources and information, and maybe draw on some of my own experiences to help guide her to the point of adulthood and continue to learn as she's learning. Because there's definitely stuff here. We have access to a lot of information to help guide us through different stages in life.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What do you think?
Absolutely.
Or
I agree. I think lately I've had this conversation a couple of times today. Like I'm now just seeing like my daughter's personality, and it's very like strong, and she's very confident, which is great. But that can kind of become a little combative.
mhm.
So I think now I'm just like, wow, like I always thought we would be like the closest friends. And now I'm like, oh, like that could be a problem. So I think for me now, I'm doing a lot of praying. Like, Lord, I want us to be close. I want us to, I want her to feel like we have a good bond. And I want to make sure I'm cultivating things that need to be cultivated in her. And I don't want to break stuff that's supposed to be there. Like her being confident, like that's great, and being like strong will. But when I tell you to do something, I don't want to hear it. I want you to do what I asked you to do. So I don't want to break something that's in her for a purpose, because
Mhm.
I'm like, it's not it's not convenient for me right now. But it's
Mhm.
something that is convenient, that's going to be like great for her in 20 years. So I
Mhm.
think that that's just me. Like I've always been like super prayerful with her, and I am to this day, because it's such like a huge responsibility. It's a huge response. Like I'm raising a person that's gonna make her mark on this world. That's
Mhm.
gonna that was created for a purpose. And I think, and I don't take that lightly. I really like, I hold on to that. So I'm very like cautious on how I speak to her, how I communicate with her, how I how we go about doing life. But it's scary, because it's like I know it's some things that I just need to do as a mother, because I
Mhm.
can't have a disrespectful child. I can't have a child that's not listening to me. We had a conversation before. If I tell you to stop, I might can't explain why I need you to stop or listen. So I need you just to be able to act fast and not come with all these questions, because I might not have time to explain myself.
Right.
So those are things that I know you need, but then I also see your personality, and that doesn't really align with the personality I'm seeing currently. And then
Mhm.
what part is it that you're three, or that
Mhm.
that's a part of the way God made you? So it's so many struggles. It's so difficult, and I'm like constantly like trying to figure things out. I'm constantly like, you know, Lord, forgive me for what I've done wrong today when it comes to raising your daughter. And even like hoping that she sees like I'm really just trying to do my best, and I'm being very intentional with her as like being
Mhm.
her mother. I'm being trying to be as intentional as I can be. I'm not trying to be so like lackadaisy and just going with the flow. I need to be like
Yeah.
intentional because like I feel like it's a huge job. It's a job, and that's my most important job. As profitable as the other jobs might seem right now, that one is going to be the one that really make my mark on the world.
Yeah. Absolutely. I totally agree. And I feel that as they go along in life, as we're shaping their personalities, because I do think there are core parts of them that they can maintain even while getting some correction, because, we do have that responsibility to help mold them into a person that can function in the world. So even if they go this way or that way, they'll remember the guidance that we gave them, and come back to the course. I think that core personality is there, and learning to foster that in the right environment. Let's say, like you said, like she speaks up about, she's very vocal now and things like that. I think that's in her. You talk to her for a reason, so now she's talking.
Seriously, yeah. And then
Right.
so
Mhm.
I get it. It's very difficult though. It's very like it. It's motherhood is literally the like the lady said. Don't say our job. It's one of the revealing most revealing responsibility you will ever have. And once you think you saw what it is, it changes.
Oh yeah, it changes. I remember talking to a friend of mine about, both of our daughters are the same age, and we discussed, I guess, some of the things that we went through as children, and she was feeling a certain way about parenting her daughter. And I said, at the end of the day, we're all going to make mistakes as parents somewhere. We can't avoid it, you know? And not only are we going to make a mistake with our children, they will be okay. They'll be okay with that mistake. They'll survive because we did. You know,
Yeah. You
our,
think
our,
about some of your traumas and think about where you are. Like it
yeah,
didn't kill you, it didn't break you, it made you who you are. And
yeah,
you don't become who you are without experiencing something. So it
yeah,
is. It's like what you said. One of the things like you can't avoid everything. I
yeah.
feel like life is gonna give her enough, so I don't want to contribute to it.
I mean, I agree. I totally agree. It's just, it's unavoidable, and some
Yeah.
of the things that we don't know will affect them in certain ways. We just don't know, and it will, you know. But it doesn't mean that, knowing who we are as core people, like we aren't the worst humans on earth, they will be able to grow and continue on and move past that. Even if they remember it as a trauma, they will be able to work through that at some age, and still be able to have a relationship with us, as their moms, and still look up to us as their parents. And I feel like that's all mothers who are striving to be good parents to their children, or all parents who are striving to be great parents. Your child will always still come back. They'll still love you, and they'll still come back to you for advice and different things, even if a mistake was made and they were traumatized or whatever. You know, they still, as long as it's not severe. I'm not talking about anything, crazy or severe. I'm not talking about that. There
Yeah.
was another guy that I wanted to mention. I'm not sure if I sent it to you. But it was a couple, and it seemed like they had about 3 children. The father was recording himself washing dishes. He had given the kids dinner, and one of the daughters was going in to see the mom. She was resting, and he said, "Oh, no, no, no. Come on. Let mommy rest. She's had a hard day. She's had a long day." And then the wife eventually came out of the room and he said, "No, go rest. You know, you've had a long day. I got it. I can take care of it. You don't have to help me. It's okay." I was so touched by that. I said, it's so refreshing to see a husband and father say, "Oh, you've had a long day. You're wiped out. You rest. I'll take care of this." I
Yeah.
was really touched by that. I was so touched, I left a comment. Like, great job. And not only did he do it, but she came out to help. Like you said earlier, if a wife, you feel like if she saw that something was needed, she's going to help. And I do think that a lot of us, by nature, if we see that, oh, he's doing something, let me go help him, that's just who we are. So if the mortgage needs to be paid and you don't have it, we going to help.
We're gonna figure it
So,
out. But I
yeah.
think too that that's why the videos of men doing that is so touching. It's just because I'm not gonna say it's not their nature, but they're normally not like most of the stories we hear. The men are not chipping in or helping or supporting a woman like that. So when we do see it, it do become like super emotional, super like wow, like that's really nice. And
Yeah.
even like unfortunately, we just have to be careful because like I don't have like my husband isn't gonna be like he'll help with Riley, but he's not about to be cooking meals and stuff like that. So you got
Hmm.
to be careful because they don't want it to become like an envy thing. Like, oh
Right.
well, like she has this and that because you don't know exactly what happens when that camera turns off. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I do think that it is something that's just is needed. At the end of the day, you made that baby together. That house is y'all's together. The food need to be cooked together. But I think too, like I feel like coming from a man perspective, if we can do all these things together, we can pay these bills together.
I personally would not have a problem with that if we're doing everything else together. I would.
Absolutely.
But if I'm going to work and then I have to come home and now I have to be, housewife Hannah
Yeah, that's
cooking.
not it's not fair. It's not
Yeah.
50-50. Because
Yeah.
50-50 is 50-50 across the board. We can't be 50-50 financially. But when it comes to the house, we 100-0 or 90-10. That's it's not fair because while you're trying not to be because men they've seen the other older generation wear themselves out, die early because they worked so hard because the woman was at home being the support of the house. So
Hmm.
now the woman is helping you financially, so you don't have to work as hard. But then that's your time to rest. Like no, because now she gotta come home and do all the stuff your mom did. So now she gotta work and do the housework, and that's just not fair. And take care of the children, and
Right.
take care of you. Like that's
Right.
just it's like it's unreal. It's unrealistic.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree. And that's why I vow not to set myself up for something like that.
Yeah, for
You gotta have
sure.
honest conversations. I think those things will reveal themselves, in the dating process by observation and conversation. And maybe observation more than conversation because, people can show you, they can say anything, but they sometimes can show you something different.
Absolutely, I agree. Yeah, just having and then talking about things. I think because like I don't think I thought about like we talked about having a child, but we talked about it more from like, do you want to spank? Do I want to spank? Do you want her to
Yeah.
go to private school or public school? Do you
Mhm.
want like it was more like on the surface level versus like and we thought it was deep, but it wasn't like I guess you don't know what you need until you need it. Or
Yeah.
until like somebody else tell you what you might need. So I
Yeah.
think that and then like even I think that's why it was easier for him to help more with Riley once we did have the conversation afterwards is because like one thing about him and I knew at the beginning, like he is super like I remember we was doing some type of like outreach. I can't remember what we were doing, but we were doing outreach and it was a guy asking for change. And we're like with like ministers, elders. Rich at the time was just a piano player. He wasn't a minister, he wasn't an elder. And this man we was talking, we did an interview with this man and we were talking to him. And we all walking away. And we like, where Rich at? We turned around and Rich is the only one giving this man some money.
Mhm.
And that like stuck out with me. Like, wow, like all these people are supposed to be these high up, like men of God, and you just play the piano. And we turn around and you the one giving the check, giving money to the homeless. Like, wow. And
Yeah.
and I actually mentioned it to him a few times, and he don't really even remember it. But that, like, literally, and we weren't even dating or nothing at the time, but it stood out to me. So I always knew that he was very like sympathetic, and he
Hmm.
noticed stuff, and he was like caring when it came to people's needs. So I guess that was something that I saw where we maybe didn't have the conversation, but I knew that he was compassionate and sympathetic to people's like need. Now
Yeah.
cooking and stuff like that, nah. But he'll help with Riley and help if I'm sick or something. He'll
Yeah.
order pizza, but he ain't gonna do no cooking or nothing.
Yeah. Well, pizza's good enough too. Sh- That's
But he
dinner.
would say he would cook. He just it's not what I want. So he gonna like microwave some cheese sticks in the air fryer, or some pizza rolls. I'm good. If that's all I can get, I'm good.
And you all will catch us on your feed randomly. So if you have a question or if you there's a topic you want us to discuss, you can go to our Instagram page, Moms on Your Feed on Instagram. See you guys next time.
Have a great day.